So here we're going to go over female reproductive anatomy, which is going to set the stage for later understanding ovulation, menstruation, oogenesis, and then fertilization. But to begin over here, the first thing that we can note about the female reproductive anatomy is that it is symmetrical. Just how the male reproductive anatomy was symmetrical, the female anatomy is also symmetrical in the sense that we have two ovaries, we have two fallopian tubes, and then we have the vagina, the uterus, and our cervix. Now, when we talk about gamete production, remember that in male anatomy we have sperm production, but in female anatomy we have egg production. Now, in a male, the sperm was produced within the testes, within those seminiferous tubules, but in a female, the eggs are going to be produced in the ovary. And then once the eggs are produced, they will be traveling through the fallopian tube. Now, women, they go through cycles of ovulation and menstruation in which an egg is released. So when we talk about an egg being released, it is going to be leaving the ovary and entering the fallopian tube. And we refer to both of these fallopian tubes also as oviducts. Now, the fallopian tubes or the oviducts are really important because that's actually where we will see fertilization occur. So when the sperm enters through the vagina is the opening of the female reproductive system to the environment. So the sperm will enter through the vagina and it will travel through this small narrow opening. This narrow opening is referred to as the cervix, and it will go through over here the uterus, and the sperm will travel down and up the fallopian tubes. So when the sperm enters, some of the sperm will go down this fallopian tube, but some of the sperm will go up this fallopian tube. But what is interesting is that when we talk about the egg release during each ovulation menstruational cycle for a female, only one of these ovaries will release an egg, and they will alternate each month. Typically, they will alternate each month on which ovary will release the egg. But let's say this ovary released the egg. So the sperm traveling this way, they will encounter the egg that was released by this ovary. But the sperm traveling this way, they will eventually die off because there is no egg released over here in that specific month. So once again, the sperm enter through the vagina, they travel through the narrow opening called the cervix, they travel through the uterus and into the fallopian tubes to find that egg. Once we see that encounter of the sperm and the egg, fertilization will occur, and it's important to really note that fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube. So fertilization will occur in the fallopian tube, and once it's occurred, it will be converted into a morula and then a blastula, and eventually it will reach the uterus where it will undergo implantation. Now, when we talk about where implantation will occur, it will occur in the uterus. But we know that fertilization, it occurs in the fallopian tube. And if implantation were to occur in the fallopian tube, that would be referred to as an ectopic pregnancy. So that's an ectopic pregnancy. And that pregnancy will, that zygote will not survive for a long period of time because it will be constricted by space. So in the fallopian tube, we see fertilization, but implantation must occur in the uterus for successful zygote development. And when we talk about the uterus, it is essentially a muscular organ where we will see implantation and the growth of our zygote. And since it's a muscular organ, it also has three distinct layers that we must understand. It has the perimetrium, the myometrium, and the endometrium. So the perimetrium is going to be that outer layer of our uterus, and the myometrium is going to be a muscular layer below the perimetrium. Now we need that myometrium, that it's a muscular layer of that uterus because it's going to allow the stretching of the uterus as the fetus will grow. And then we have the endometrium, which is the innermost layer, and it is at the endometrium where we will see implantation occur of the blastula. Now, to quickly recap once again, the uterus is a muscular organ. It's got three distinct layers: the perimetrium, the myometrium, and the endometrium, and implantation will occur on that endometrium. And one important thing to mention right over here is that when we talk about giving birth has a specific term to it, and that's called parturition. Parturition occurs when you give birth and the fetus passes through the vagina. And that is essentially just an overview of the female reproductive anatomy. So we have this idea in our mind as we go on to learn about oogenesis, fertilization, and menstruation, and all the other processes found within the female reproductive system.